So I'm going to be doing definitely on YouTube here and TikTok here. Hi, again, I'm Dr. Robin. I'm a clinical pharmacist and sleep health coach. I'm here to help you get the most amazing sleep. So if you're having any issues getting great sleep at night, you are in the right place today. So we're going to continue today. The last couple of days, we've been doing A to Z sleep hacks. So we did the letter A a couple of days ago. Yesterday we did B. So today is C. So welcome back again, and you're going to love today's session. So the first thing we want to talk about is C is a caffeine curfew. I know I just did a YouTube live about this not too long ago. Caffeine is really one of the top drugs that is used throughout the world. Many people don't realize this, but this is actually a drug that is keeping so many people awake. Even your morning coffee and people who have afternoon coffees, evening coffees, these coffees can stay around in our bodies for a long time. It can take hours for this particular drug, caffeine, to actually break down in the body. So that's called, and we call in the pharmacy land, the health land, metabolize. So for caffeine to actually be well metabolized, it needs to really be out of your system in time for bed. And that's an issue for a lot of people. They're having an afternoon mocha, an afternoon coffee. They're doing all of these things. And this is actually keeping them awake at night. So you want to avoid caffeine anywhere from 6 to 8 hours before bed. Some people it's going to be longer than that. So a lot of people can find out that, afternoon, they can't have any coffee after that time, or else they are going to have issues getting to sleep at night. So definitely caffeine curfew is the first C we want to talk about. It actually prevents you from going to sleep and actually staying asleep. So if you're finding that you're waking up in the middle of the night, it can be normal to have one or two awakenings where you get back to bed a lot quicker. But what happens is caffeine can actually interrupt your sleep architecture at nighttime, so that you aren't getting the good night's sleep that you need. So definitely look at having what they call a caffeine curfew. This is a cutoff time in terms of how much caffeine you are taking in, how much you are really in the times of the day that you're taking in as well. So definitely do that cut off time for the caffeine. I know a lot of people are tempted, after you have a big meal and you're out with friends, the waitress will actually come up to you and ask you, hey, you want a cup of coffee after dinner? Your answer, if you want a great night's sleep, should be, I'll pass on that. I'll have some herbal tea, or I'll have another cup of water, because that caffeine is really keeping us awake. So it's not just in coffees that caffeine are keeping us awake. There's hitting in tea. So if you drink even green tea, which can be very healthy, have great antioxidants, but too close to bed, it can cause us to stay awake. White tea also has caffeine in it, black tea. So our green teas, all of our teas. Now, if you're doing an herbal tea, we'll talk about that in a second. Herbal teas aren't as bad or as difficult, really, unless you have an issue where you have to definitely use the bathroom in the evenings. So definitely cut out the caffeine. We look at chocolates. Chocolate has a good amount of caffeine in it naturally as well. So definitely, if you're eating, you want to treat yourself to a great chocolate treat, something that, really is tasty and delicious before bed. Definitely check that caffeine content. That could be keeping you awake and you don't even know it. We need to also look into, a lot of our energy drinks have tons of caffeine in it. These are actually potentially can be dangerous for us, and especially dangerous for our heart health. A lot of them raise our blood pressure to really high numbers. And people have run into serious heart issues drinking in too many of these energy drinks. So energy drinks can also really cause you to stay awake at night. So just to recap, one of the first things we'll talk about was the caffeine curfew. Caffeine's hiding in a lot of food. You can see it in energy drinks, green teas, white teas, also the black tea that you're having, like the Earl Grey. And definitely, we all know the coffee. It's even very much in decaffeinated. A lot of people don't know this. So if you get a decaffeinated coffee, it is not 100% decaffeinated. It is largely decaffeinated, and they've decreased the caffeine as much as they possibly can. And a lot of times the chemicals they use to decrease the caffeine can actually cause more problems than the caffeine itself. So you want to be careful also with decaffeinated coffees as well. That doesn't mean that you're not getting any caffeine. You're still getting some caffeine, which could really, really hinder and really harm your sleep. So that's one of the major ones. So we talked about caffeine curfew. We are talking about sleep hacks A to Z. And I have a question here on TikTok. Okay, that's a good question. We'll talk about that next. They ask, what about teas that we can drink? So we're looking at A to Z sleep hacks. We're covering the letter C today. So one of my favorite teas is chamomile. Also very calming, a soothing tea. It actually contains antioxidants that actually promote sleepiness. So that's not something, if you have something big or important you want to do, don't go for the chamomile. Chamomile should be reserved for nighttime in the evening. So there's some different ways you can take that. One of the teas, I've had clients come to me and say, one of the issues with teas is that, it helps me to go to sleep, but then I have to wake up and actually go to the bathroom because I'm drinking so much tea. So you want to limit the amount of liquid that you're going into your teacup when you're going to go ahead and actually start drinking the chamomile tea. There's also make chamomile capsules as well. There's chamomile patches, and there's chamomile tincture. So you're not getting as much liquid. So those are just really some good alternatives so that you can get great sleep at night and when you don't have to get up and use the bathroom. So just a quick recap, we talked about a caffeine curfew, reducing how much caffeine you are getting in during the day and having that cutoff time so it's not interfering with your sleep. We talked about some tea you can use, which is a chamomile tea. Chamomile tea is great for inducing sleepiness. Once again, use a smaller amount of liquid than they even recommend. You want to use a smaller amount of liquid so that you don't have to get up and use the bathroom from drinking the chamomile tea. You can also get it in capsule form, powder form. It also comes in tinctures, which is a really smaller amount of liquid for you to take as well. So we're going to go on to the next C to getting great night's sleep is a cooler temperature. It is much easier for us to get good sleep at night when we lower our thermostats. So we're looking at temperatures anywhere, depending on where you are in the world. I know we have people all over, mostly people here on YouTube are US, but all over the planet on TikTok. So depending on where you're at, anywhere from 65 to 73 degrees is the ideal temperature. And I'll just say 65 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit is the ideal temperature for you to lower your thermostat to get that great night's sleep. So cooling the temperature. So that cooler body core is really essential for you to actually get to sleep, fall asleep, and stay asleep at night. So keeping your bedroom cool at night, it can actually mimic the natural nighttime drop that you experience actually going to bed naturally. So if you have air conditioning, that's great. If not, a cooling fan is good, whether it's a regular standalone fan or a ceiling fan. That's also another good option. There's a whole bunch of other good cooling options to help you to sleep. There's some great technology out there now where they have cooling blankets, cooling sheets, cooling pillows. There's even AI technology available where there's cooling mattresses. And if you have a partner, they can cool their side of the bed and keep your side of the bed warmer, or vice versa. So you don't have to sleep hot and bothered and just burning up anymore. It is ideally, once again, to have the temperature anywhere from about 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Some people will want it a little bit lower, or go all the way down to like 63 or 60. So this will be a personal thing that you can actually test out and see the best temperature for you to get good sleep at night. If you don't adjust this temperature, you could find that this is one of the reasons that is causing you insomnia in the evenings. So you definitely want to get some great temperature control into your room. So we're going to keep on going with different C's that are dealing with getting good health and getting good sleep at night. So that circadian rhythm, I know it sounds like it starts with an S, but it starts with a C. And this is circadian rhythm support. Now, circadian rhythm is just a fancy word for our internal clock. All of us have an internal clock. We're just built and made very beautifully. It's just amazing how the human body and all of the other animal kingdom is made as well. So that internal clock, it regulates our sleep wake cycles. And one way that we can support this is actually getting sunlight in the morning. So supporting the circadian rhythm can actually really be assisted with our sun. So even if it's a kind of a cloudy day, getting that daylight in first thing in the morning, anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes, will help set your circadian rhythm for the rest of the day. Also, you want to look at getting evening sunlight. So before the sun sets is a great time to expose your eyes and your skin to that evening sunset light. It's not a harsh light that'll damage your skin or anything to that effect. But it will definitely help set your rhythm. You want to look at getting regular meals in and looking at that. You want to have that. We talked about that yesterday, that cutoff time before you go to bed. So if you eat too close to bed, your body is spending a lot of that energy actually digesting that heavy meal. It's okay to have a really great dinner before we go to bed. But I tell people and tell my clients, if at 9 o'clock p.m. is your bedtime, your last big meal should be 6 p.m. You can have a small snack if you need a little something before you go to sleep. That's fine. But that big meal should be done around that time. That also helps set the circadian rhythm. So those are some of the major things we want to definitely do to help with that. The next C we want to talk about is consistency. And I know that's something that can be hard if you're a student right now, if things are going on in life, to have that consistent wake up time, consistent go to bed time. This also helps to set the circadian rhythm. And you actually have this natural rhythm going on. Probably years ago, before we even had electricity, it was just naturally set for everyone by the sun rising and the sun setting. But now that we can have fluorescent lights on at midnight and 1 a.m. in the morning, it can be difficult to really set that good circadian rhythm that we all need for a really good night's sleep. You also want to look at consistently having a good bedtime routine. So that's going to differ from person to person, depending on what it is that you do to definitely calm down before bed. So those are the first C's we're going to talk about. See if I have any questions here. Oh, that's a very good question. What about the circadian rhythm for people who work the night shift? Okay, that can be difficult. I used to work the night shift, and we're going to talk about that. So some people are actually what we call they're natural night owls. And one of the C's, we'll go ahead and just talk about that now. One of the C's is chronotype. So we have about maybe 4 to 5 different chronotypes throughout the human population, in terms of not everyone's a morning person, and not everyone's a night owl. We have a certain percentage of population that are morning people, certain percentage that are evening people, and multiple in between. So if you are a natural night owl, you want to just really, you're going to switch to doing a lot of things for your daytime. So if you're working like a night shift, for example, as soon as you get off that night shift, you're going to black out that room. Even before, when I used to work nights, if I knew I was getting out in the next hour, I would begin drinking chart cherry juice. So that's tart cherry juice. You can get that in the health food store, and that has all natural melatonin in it. So if you're interested in that, that's something you can definitely get at your local, like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or something of that nature. There's a lot of other foods that have really good melatonin as well. So those are something majorly that you want to check into. So you're going to have to alert friends and family if you're working that night shift because you're a natural night owl. That, unless it's an emergency, you cannot take a lot of phone calls because you're really going to have to convert when everyone else is awake in the world and calling and doing everything. You're going to have to convert yourself to being asleep during that time. So definitely preparing in advance, blackout shades, definitely noise. It's much noisier in the daytime often. So you're going to need either noise cancelers or you're going to have earphones on where you're listening to some of the meditation music or earplugs in. You're going to want that as well. So there's definitely things you can do if you work an overnight shift, for example. So these are things you can definitely incorporate so that you can still get great, great sleep during the day. Now, there is a caveat to this. If you are a natural night owl, this works great. If you're not, I highly recommend people to really start looking for other things for them to do that matches their chronotype. So you want to do work that matches your chronotype so that you're not always exhausted and feeling like a zombie because really you're a morning person, but now you have to go to sleep in the morning and vice versa. So that's a really good question. Thank you. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay. So let's keep going. So one of the other things we want to talk about is having that clock in that bedroom. Having that clock in the bedroom caused a lot of sleep anxiety for my clients. They're already anxious about whether they can get good sleep or not. And next thing you know, this clock is staring at them. So that's fine if you do need to have a clock in your room, your cell phone, but don't have it facing so that you can see it in the middle of the night and you wake up and you get upset, you get overwhelmed. You don't want that to happen. And it can cause what they call sleep anxiety. This is like just a vicious circle where you're anxious that you can't get to sleep. You're anxious that you can't stay asleep because you're staring at what time it is at the clock. So have that turned away from you, definitely for that. Yesterday, we talked about C for comfortable mattress and pillow. Your bedroom should be this beautiful oasis, okay, that fits you and really is comfortable and cozy as much as possible for you. And you don't have to go out right now, just, get a ton of things and buy stuff. This could be something that you could do slowly over time to really build that comfy coziness to have a really, really nice bedroom for yourself. So I want to talk about something that's very, probably really the mainstay of actually treating people who have chronic issues with insomnia. And that's cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. And what this does is addresses the root, really gets down to the root of why you're having these dysfunctions in getting good, strong, restorative rest every night. It shows that throughout multiple studies where they've compared getting CBT-I therapy versus other therapies, that it improves, how long it takes you to go to sleep, how long you can stay asleep, and really actually it's been found to be more effective than actually a lot of the medications that are used. So getting some great CBT therapy in can really, really assist in really solving those chronic issues with going to sleep at night. We talked about already a calming bedtime routine. It's hard to get a great night's sleep if you just cannot get a routine going. So sometimes I have people who will tell me, you know what, I just jump into bed at night. I don't understand why I can't get to sleep. Well, that's a major issue because they haven't done the vital steps to calm down. And this doesn't have to take a long time. I think when I went over the routine last night, some of the people asked me, I got some emails, like, I don't have all day and all night to do a bedtime routine that's going to take me hours. It really shouldn't take you hours. It can be something as simple as 10 to 15 minutes. And so that can differ from different people. You can look at a warm shower before bed. Even though the shower is warm, it actually lowers your core temperature and helps you to get to sleep. Aromatherapy before bedtime. We went over some of our aromatherapy last night. We have our exclusive Sleep Well RX organic lavender spray, and we'll be selling this soon on TikTok Shop, so you'll be able to get some of this. And aromatherapy is a great way. It doesn't take long, where you can spray your room. So you can spray the room. I even spray my face. It's safe enough for your body and your skin. Spray your pillow before you go to bed at night, your sheets. You can even put some of this in those aromatherapy machines so that you are getting all of that great lavender fragrance. Lavender is time tested and a true, really effective, one of our most effective herbals. In addition to, we have passion flower, chamomile. Mother Nature really blessed us with a lot of great herbs, chemicals that are natural without any side effects to really help us get a great night's sleep, to help calm us down during the morning. So we'll talk more a little bit about that later. We talked about cutting alcohol. Now, alcohol does have a lot of issues. One of the issues I have that people come to me and say, well, alcohol helps me get to sleep at night. But they're coming to me because they can't stay asleep at night. So one of the major issues, alcohol interferes with your sleep architecture. And these are the various phases of sleep that you go in and out of every night. So you definitely want to look at cutting your alcohol. And if you don't want to cut it out, I know I have some clients who are like, no, it's tradition. Me and my husband have a great, bottle of wine or a glass of wine in the evening. That's fine as long as you stop that, have that with your meal. So the same cutoff that applies for your meal should apply if you are having alcohol as well. The next C we want to talk about is curtailing naps. Now, I'm a nap person. I love nap time. But once again, nap time can interfere with going to bed at night. So some things you want to keep in mind is if you're going to take a nap and get that rest in, is you want that power nap. So that's 20 to 30 minutes in terms of getting that power nap in. And also you want to definitely look at a cutoff time. So anywhere from, depending on what time you get up in the morning, from like 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m. You want to get that definitely power nap in. So if you have it too late in the evening, I had some clients say, I get off work at 5 o'clock and I feel like a nap. That is going to interfere with you going to bed at night at an ideal time. So ideally, those nap times should be between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Any earlier, well, you're just going back to bed. That's not even a nap. Later than that, you're going to have problems getting to bed at night. Clients who say, at 1 o'clock, I want to take a 2 or 3 hour nap. It's hard. I have Coach Ashley here today on TikTok. You all make sure you check her out. Thank you so much for the rose. Oh, I love the roses on TikTok. Thank you, Coach Ashley. I need to, I don't know how to put you up here, but Oh man, I don't know how to do this right here. Okay, I'm gonna figure this out next time. Next time we're on here, I'm gonna definitely be able to put you up top. I want you all definitely to visit Coach Ashley. She gives a powerful, powerful word on a daily basis. I want to thank you. You have definitely inspired me, uplifted me. So thanks a million for that. You all see her, definitely touch base with her and follow her content. She is phenomenal. So thank you so much. Thank you for the hearts. So we're keeping on with the C, our C. So we talked about curtailing naps, a calming routine. C for cutting alcohol. Um, the next C I want to go into is candlelit evenings. Now, candles can be dangerous, so definitely buyer beware. You don't have to use actual candles. I like the ones that are battery operated, so you can get some of those, your usual store, Hobby Lobby, Michael, tons of them on Amazon. I even saw some at the dollar store recently, which I was surprised about. So they're everywhere. You can get these, and this really provides that ambient dim lighting that you need to get good sleep at night. So that's something major that you want to look into doing. Getting good rest at night, getting good sleep with dimmer lighting. So when we don't actually turn down our lights in the evening, we have not alerted our brain and our body that it's time to rest. So that's something that's really important. Our lighting is important. So I think yesterday when we did B, we looked at the blue blocker glasses. So we want to look at definitely decreasing the lighting in our home. Once it gets to be evening time, it's really important. So we're going to look into that. We talked about looking at definitely clearing the clutter and curtains. So those are some other C's. Your curtains should be blackout curtains for your nighttime if you're having issues sleeping. So you can get blackout shades, blackout curtains at like Home Depot, Lowe's to help really get good night's sleep. And we talked about clearing your clutter. It's hard to get to sleep if you have a bed full of papers. I know I can be definitely guilty of having books in the bed. Now, it's good to have a boring book that puts you to sleep. That's actually an excellent idea. Have that boring book nearby to help get you to sleep at night, but it shouldn't be a ton of books and papers and laptops and tablets. It's hard to get to sleep when we have all that crap in the bed. So you're going to want to definitely look at that. So getting rid of the clutter. So we're going to talk about some of the different foods now that are really good and some other substances. Calcium-rich foods actually play a role in the tryptophan production in our brain. So tryptophan production can lead to the melatonin production. So tryptophan, when you think of that, there's large amounts of tryptophan actually in when we're having turkey, for example. So that's why after a big turkey dinner, after a big Thanksgiving dinner, we are ready to go to sleep and pass out. So enriching our diets with calcium-rich foods can actually lead to more good tryptophan production. So that's our next C that we wanted to cover today. One of my favorite C's, and I didn't bring it down here, I have to bring that next time, is what they call compression therapy. And that's just a fancy word for weighted blankets. Weighted blankets, actually, they apply a gentle, even pressure throughout the body. And it's known as a deep pressure calming stimulation. It feels good. Even in the summertime, I have like a special blanket that's weighted that feels just calming and comforting. It activates our parasympathetic nervous system, and it actually increases, can you believe this? A blanket increases our serotonin and our melatonin as well. So having a weighted blanket is a great way to feel comfy, cozy. And there's different weights to the blanket. So this is something you can kind of play around with, try out to help get a great night's sleep. So it's called compression therapy is an official name. weighted blanket is really the unofficial name. Now, recently I've come across some other really weighted great products. So they had a weighted eye mask that put just a slight pressure, and it actually blocked out all the lighting. They have weighted sheets. They have weighted other just things that you can put in the bed with you. They kind of give you just really that comfort. They have a weighted lap pillow that just kind of gives you that extra pillow and that calmness and that kind of anchoring in that you feel from getting that compression therapy. So that's another thing. And you can get these at various places. Just do a search on weighted sleep items, weighted bed. I'm glad to see Coach Ashley says she's clearing her bed right now. I know. We all are guilty of that, having tons of stuff in our bed. So I'm glad to see you doing that and getting that cleared up. That's awesome. So we're going to talk about cortisol management is the next thing we're going to look at. So when we have high cortisol, it naturally gets high in the morning and it's hard to go to sleep because it's time for us to start our day first thing in the morning, get going. So that's actually natural and okay that our cortisol can actually be high in the morning. It's not okay if we're experiencing high cortisol in the evenings. So that's something we want to look into. So one of the major things is, a lot of my clients are busy professionals. And when they get off work, they want to work out, which is great for the body, getting exercise in. But it can raise your cortisol levels where it can make it difficult for you to get a good night's sleep. So you don't want to do really active cortisol raising activities. If you're going to have an argument with someone, if you're on social media, scrolling, seeing a lot of stressful events raises our cortisol level. If we're eating a poor diet where we're eating, fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with, junk food as snacks, that raises a cortisol level. It's highly inflammatory as well. So some of the things to really help really drop your cortisol level in the evening is meditation exercises. You can listen to guided meditation exercises, even sleep meditation exercises, breathing exercises, doing prayer. Once again, reading that boring book kind of slows down that cortisol level. So this is the time of day where you want low cortisol, and that is in the evenings to help you get a good night's sleep. It's difficult. I have clients who, they're doing last minute work. They're doing emails. They're doing a lot of activities before bed that raises the cortisol level, making it difficult to get good sleep. So that's something you definitely want to look into. And questions, ask yourself, what am I doing before bed? Am I doing calming, soothing activities, or am I hyped up and ready to go? So that's something that's really important. And it's so hard. Yeah, someone said it's so hard to shut down the brain at night. It can be difficult to shut down the brain at night. One of the things I like to do is I like to start preparing for bedtime. I'm passionate about bedtime, going to sleep. Start preparing for that with your dinner. You don't need the brightest lights on once you're done cooking. When you're serving it, it can be dimmer lights on. It can have great aromatherapy going on. So starting hours before can help you to do that. Doing that brain dump. We talked about that. Getting that brain dump is so important because we go to bed thinking about, our kids. Oh, I love that. You change your whole schedule. Oh, I love that. That's major. Really scheduling, because that's ultimately, we are responsible for ourselves. And that's the ultimate self-care, is really getting yourself the best rest and restoration you need and scheduling that rest and restoration. That's so powerful. So definitely looking at decreasing the cortisol level. Some other things we wanted to talk about is, I do have clients now, you can actually run into issues with this, and that is actually CBD. So some clients do find out that using various CBD products, and they come in so many different ways. So they have, the gummies out, they have actual gum out. There's like syrups out, tablets, capsules, a variety of ways where CBD is available at various health food stores, CBD shops for you to get a good night's sleep. It can be very potential for dependency. So I've had some people come to me and mention that, I don't want to continue to use CBD. I actually want to look at, getting off of that. And so a slow taper is ideal. Going cold turkey is usually not a good idea. But this is something, if you're open to that, can definitely help you get that good night's sleep at night. So we're going to talk about some other ingredients that you can take. We're going to talk about chrononutrition. This is the science, and you'll believe that I'm going to read this. Chrononutrition is the science of eating according to your natural body clock. We talked about how people have natural circadian rhythms in different chronotypes. So eating large meals late at night can definitely delay your melatonin onset if you are a person who is a morning person and needs to get that nighttime sleep. So that's something you definitely don't want to do because it will impair your sleep. So one of the chrononutrition involves, one of the tips is really front loading calories earlier in the day and tapering off at night. So you could promote more of a hormonal balance and get the melatonin going. So that's something definitely try is the chrononutrition based on your type. Some other natural chrononutrition tips are, we all heard that cherries are top in melatonin. It's one of the top fruits. It's really amazing that they have the most melatonin. But there's melatonin in a lot of different fruits. Actually, if you look below, I have a PDF where you can download. And I'm going to put this video will be actually going onto YouTube. So you can see it there as Sleepwell RX when you're done. And what I've done is actually compiled some smoothie recipes, and you can get these for free. I'm not selling these. You can get these completely for free. And these are all natural smoothie recipes that are filled with melatonin fruits. So a great way to get your melatonin boosted up in a natural way without taking extra, melatonin pills. And I have a question. Yep, cherry has melatonin. And specifically, it's a particular type of cherry. Tart cherry has the most, but I find that regular cherry has it as well. That's one of the reasons that alcohol helps people to go to sleep. The grapes have natural melatonin in them. So grapes actually help people to get a good night's sleep. In fact, one of the recipes I have in there is grapes. It's a cherry with a banana. It's delicious tasting. And also it's just, it knocks you out. So it's a great way to definitely, grapes have melatonin. Kiwi have melatonin. I have to redo it some point. I did a series, I believe it was last year, where I went over a lot of the different fruits and foods that have melatonin in them. Green peppers have them, red peppers. It's amazing. And one of the major fruits we're looking at in terms of the nuts, pistachios are really the highest nut content of melatonin. So those are really good as well. So looking at C for definitely chrononutrition. Next, we're going to look at choline-rich foods. So all we know is we know that one of the major, what we call neurotransmitters, and it transmits basically our feelings and emotions. They can actually be transmitted to a chemical. And one of our major ones is called acetylcholine. And it's involved heavily in our REM sleep. That's our rapid eye movement sleep. That's the deepest sleep we get when we're having deep dreaming. And when we're actually getting a lot of our healing, our restoration is going on, and also our memory consolidation. So some of the foods that are rich in that is actually eating eggs on a regular basis, liver, other meat products. And also, if you're like, okay, I prefer to do more vegan options, you can look at doing soy lecithin. That also has a lot of choline in it as well. Adequate choline intake really supports your cognitive function. It is a precursor to the acetylcholine, which is one of your major neurotransmitters involved in your REM sleep and also for you to memorize things. I think in this day and age, especially AI coming up, it's a new AI product every day. But we have to be on our feet to know how to use these products and really how to memorize and have good memory. And a lot of people don't realize that our memories, things that we're memorizing during the day, things that we are learning during the day, is actually consolidated at nighttime. So all those bits and pieces get gelled together at nighttime while we are asleep. So this is super important for you really getting that good night's sleep. So we talked about choline rich foods. So we're going to look at a few other things and we'll be done here in probably about 15 minutes or so or less. We're going to talk about using cinnamon as a blood sugar stabilizer. Sometimes when we have too much of a carbohydrates before we go to bed, this can actually cause blood sugar spikes that can interfere with getting a great night's sleep. So cinnamon has been shown to help regulate our blood sugar, which is really important because when we have that nocturnal hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, either it spikes or goes too low, it can really cause disruptions, causing us to, not get a good night's sleep. Adding a little cinnamon to your evening tea or some of your evening meal can actually help to regulate that, even out a lot of those issues with having the blood sugar. So it actually supports your insulin sensitivity, which will tie into your overall circadian rhythm health. So that's our next C. We're talking about adding cinnamon in to your great night. Next thing we're talking about, which is really fun, of course, looking at cuddling. So if you have a partner, pet, you're giving your kid a hug good night, putting them in the bed, or even we talked about earlier, the compression therapy, which are the weighted objects. So if you say, okay, I don't have a partner at the time, having that weighted object, whether it's a weighted pillow, a weighted blanket, really can give that good cuddling effect. If you have a favorite pet, I know some people let pets in the bedroom, some people don't. That's a personal deal, but cuddling the pet before night really helps us to get that good night's sleep, that physical touch. The bonding hormone promotes feelings of safety, and that's the oxytocin. It promotes feelings of safety and well-being. It helps get us calm and secure for a good night's sleep. Next thing we'll talk about is cranial massage. So definitely looking at what are you doing, body-wise before you're going to bed. That can be a part of your bedtime routine. So doing your stretchings where you're kind of doing your stretching your neck, rolling, stretching your arms out, doing all that, but can also doing when you're doing a head massage. Head massaging can be very calming, relaxing, really an exceptional technique for our nervous system. So, and doing this, you will also activate some pressure points that will help you to relax and get a great night's sleep. So doing that regular cranial massage will help quiet your mind. I know we all have a lot on our minds going on right now. We're having, things with the economy are going on. It's just constant issues and things going on. It seems like nonstop. But that cranial massage, even going down beyond the cranial into your neck area, in your shoulders area, a lot of us tend to hold a lot of pressure in our shoulders. We feel like the world is on our shoulders at times. When you're feeling like that, you can actually massage your own shoulders before bed. This hand will go on the opposite side, do some great neck rolls, just getting into that relaxing set so that you can get a great night's sleep. And so I just think we'll do a recap now. I think we covered all of the major ones. So we'll go in reverse. We just talked about doing cranial massage, looking at cuddling to reduce that oxytocin to get a good night's sleep. The cinnamon, that's a great idea to help regulate blood sugar so you avoid hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia in either way. Um, oh, that's so cute. Yeah, culinary, your kiddo's couch. That's definitely, yes. We looked at doing candle scents. One of my favorite ones is definitely the lavender. I just find it relaxing. If I keep spraying this, I'm going to get drowsy and not finish this. So I'm going to stop now. If you're interested in this, definitely download our PDF below and you will be automatically added to our email list if when we have this available. Should be available within about a month. So we'll have this available and we'll let everyone know when it's coming. Looking at choline rich foods that were actually precursors to the acetylcholine that lead to, our REM sleep and really consolidating our memories at night. One of the things I didn't touch on that starts with C is color, the color of our bedrooms. Now, I know some of us get really creative and like, beautiful bright colors like fuchsia and orange. And it is hard to sleep. Those considered fire colors. I've studied classical feng shui. And in classical feng shui, there are what they call fire colors. They're good for getting fired up, getting hyped up to do things. So looking at, something and starting a new project in the morning, putting on your favorite red blouse, it's a great idea. But for going to bed at night, colors are very important. They need to be soothing colors. So like you're looking at soft grays, beige, tans, peaches, nothing that's jarring and bright that's keeping you awake. So definitely check out, if you have, really bright colors that are keeping you awake at night. People think color doesn't matter, but color therapy is something major and serious. Color does matter when getting a good night's sleep. So we talked about colors. We talked about looking into chrononutrition. So basically eating according to your chronotype. We looked at what is a chronotype. This is the variations throughout the human population of people when they go to sleep. Some people need to go to sleep at nighttime. Some people actually need to go to sleep at 7 in the morning for 8 hours of rest. There's different chronotypes throughout the population. And actually to run a society, we need all varieties. We need people at night who are going to be up delivering babies that want to come at 1 in the morning. We have law enforcement that needs to be around 24/7. Those members who find that they do better at night would be great suited for that. So definitely eating according to your chronotype and determining what chronotype you are. We talked about another C, circadian friendly lighting. So using dim candles. So we didn't talk about really not using the actual candles. I really like safety as much as possible. So using the actual battery operated candles that you can get everywhere now. And they're pretty affordable. So you can get those and having that dim, nice lighting in your house so that you are alerting your body around 4 or 5-ish at this time to go to bed. We looked into cortisol management. So getting excited and hyped and, emailing and anger before you go to bed can definitely hinder a good night's sleep. We looked at the core body temperature. Some people will be as low as 60 degrees in terms of keeping that core body temperature in their their bedrooms at night, and can go up to like 73, 75, depending on where you are in the world right now. Looking at if you are a person that wants to try CBD, there can be some potential for dependency on that. So that's something to think about. But if that's something you're open to, that may be something that you find helpful as well. Our curtains should be our blackout curtains so that we're blacking out any street lights that are coming in. Our neighbors who have different lights on their houses, sometimes those shine in and can keep us awake at night, quite frankly. clearing the clutter. I see here people are clearing the clutter off their beds. It's amazing how much clutter we can accumulate on our beds. So that's a great, great idea. Creating a sleep sanctuary, we talked about. Our calcium rich foods that are precursors and really help us to form the tryptophan in our body, which will lead to the melatonin as well. Let's see, we looked at cutting out, which may be difficult for some people, but cutting out the alcohol, having that cutoff time for the alcohol that's similar for the cutoff time for our meals, at least 3 to 4 hours before we go to bed. So that's super, super important. We also looked at a caffeine curfew. That was one of the first things we talked about. Caffeine can linger in our bodies for a long time. It'll take a long time to break this caffeine down. So because of that, we want to have a cutoff time so that this caffeine is not interfering with our sleep. We looked at that caffeine's hiding in a lot of food. So we know coffee is one of the obvious things, but we know that white tea, green tea, Earl Grey teas, the black teas, even when we buy products that say decaffeinated coffee, there's still caffeine in there. It's just a lower amount, but it's not completely 100% decaffeinated. So that's something really, really to keep in mind to help you get that great, great night's sleep. We talked about definitely circadian rhythm support, where you're actually going to get that morning light to sleep right at night. So you can get some of the morning light anywhere from 5, 10, 15 minutes when the sun definitely first comes up in the morning. Even if it's a cloudier day out, just getting that daylight into your eyes and your skin will help set that circadian rhythm. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I think we covered most of our C's. Tomorrow, I'm really excited about tomorrow because I am going to talk about dreams and what dreams mean to us, because we're going to be on the letter D. So talk about dreams, what dreams mean to us. Look into lucid dreaming, what it means to actually lucid dream. And we talked about a little bit, went into the definition of that. Lucid dreaming means that you actually wake up inside of the dream and you know that you're dreaming, even though in the conscious life you're still asleep. We're going to talk about some of the advantages of lucid dreaming on a spiritual and physical level. So that's going to be really exciting. Join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about D for dreaming and a whole bunch of other D's that help us to get a great, great night's sleep. So once again, I'm Dr. Robin. I'm a sleep health coach and a clinical pharmacist that loves to help you get the most amazing, amazing sleep ever. Take care. And thank you for coming to my live stream tonight. Thank you so much. Let's see, I'll end here on YouTube first. Thank you, YouTube, so much. Have a great night.